Welcome to This Week in Astrology. This is episode number 678 for August 16 through 31, 2025. The 2025 peak of this decade's most important astrology event, the world-shaking Gods of Change mini Grand Trine, highlights the second half of August. And two of its members, Uranus and Neptune, are sextile the same day as this momentous apex. We also have Jupiter, semi-square Uranus, a supercharged Gods of Change new moon in Virgo, and more. Strap in. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm your host, Benjamin Bernstein. I record these forecasts as an audio podcast and a video, so take your pick. The video version includes detailed chart graphics, which you can also see in my written forecasts at astroshaman.com. Be sure to subscribe to This Week in Astrology, and if you have not already, be sure to click the link in the show notes for 2 chances to win a free Astrology Plus session with me each month. In fact, I announce our August winner during this episode. Keep your ears peeled if you've entered. Look for timestamps in the show notes so you can jump right to the day you want. As of August 16, the moon is waning, 4 planets are retrograde, and we have 7 continuing aspect patterns. See details and links to all this in the show notes. On Sunday, August 17, abundance enjoys nearly a month of expansive support thanks to a T-square with Mars, Ceres, and Jupiter. It starts today on the 17th, peaks on September 2nd, and ends on September 12th. Prosperity is supported by Ceres, the grain goddess associated with harvest and abundance. Jupiter supports limitless expansion and is ancient astrology's lucky great benefic. Finally, Mars in Libra energizes all this with balance and harmony. Challenges may stand between you and this abundance, since the T-square is a hard aspect pattern. This may involve the triggering of old emotional wounds represented by Ceres. She was traumatized by Pluto's abduction of her daughter Persephone. If you're emotionally triggered, my free healing invocation has helped thousands clear old trauma quickly, easily, and definitively. To get to that, you can click the link in the show notes to learn about that or go to astroshaman.com/invocations. Whatever your challenges, remember the Mars motto, fortune favors the bold. On Monday, August 18, 3 overlapping aspect patterns feature Venus in the second half of August, a T-square, a cradle, and a hard rectangle. One starts today, and they all end near the end of the month. All can help you optimize Venus's core areas, relationship, creativity, and money. First, I'll dive into these 3 themes. Then I'll explain the different ways they're stimulated by these 3 aspect patterns. This is starting to sound like a 3-for-all. Venus's most popular meaning is relationships. This can include any important relationship, including spouse, lover, family member, friend, business associate, or open enemy. Venus can represent a new or existing relationship. I find it helpful to segment existing relationships into 3 categories. I describe these in this excerpt from my post called, Is a Relationship Awesome, Awful, or Mixed? Start with the relationships that are obviously supportive and positive. Is this a good time to take any of them deeper or expand them in appropriate ways? Toxic relationships fall on the other end of the spectrum. Is this a good time to completely cut off contact with overwhelmingly negative people, or can you at least minimize contact? Finally, there are mixed bag relationships. You never know whether they're going to make you feel great or turn into a train wreck. 4 factors increase your chances of harmonizing a challenging relationship. To learn about them, read my relationship post, which is linked in the show notes. Creativity is also a key Venus theme, since one of her keywords is artist. This could be any form of creativity, ranging from the visual arts and music to acting and dance. Whether your creativity is professional or personal, this is a great time to connect with your muse. Carve out time to express yourself. You could say this invocation to your higher self to get your creative juices flowing. Maximum creative inspiration that serves highest good please. Venus also represents money. Keep an eye out for win-win opportunities to boost your income or resources. Remember that even the most auspicious transits cannot protect you from con artists. These days, the question is not if you'll be approached by scammers, but how often, especially online. Always exercise due diligence before committing your money or resources. Venus also has a fourth meaning, enjoying others' artistry, so feel free to enjoy the inspired expressions of other creators. Two of the aspect patterns start and end near the same dates. First up is a potentially challenging T-square with Venus, Chiron, and Pluto. It starts on the 18th, peaks on the 25th, and ends on the 31st. This is followed one day later by a harmonious cradle. It includes Venus, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. It starts on August 19th, peaks on the 26th, and ends on September 2nd. Because the T-square includes Chiron and Pluto, the two planets most associated with shadow work, stay alert for interactions that trigger challenging emotions. They're stirred up now, but there's a good chance they're rooted in unhealed trauma from childhood or even a past life. If you haven't learned how to skillfully face and heal these traumas, you might tend to ignore or repress these challenging emotions. But there are two major benefits to healing them. First, doing this opens the door to emotions more magnificent than you have ever experienced. Plus, you'll be automatically lifted to a new level of spiritual awakening that will become your new normal until your next and even more wonderful awakening. The upgrades never stop. The best DIY technique I know for doing this is my free healing invocation, which I mentioned a moment earlier. It delegates the healing work to your higher self, which is delighted to do it for you. All you have to do is feel the challenging emotions wash away. Again, that's linked in the show notes, or go to astroshaman.com/invocations. This T-square can also empower your work as a healer or wisdom giver for others. Other than Venus, Pluto is the only planet in all three aspect patterns, so he deserves a deeper look. If you're in a sexual relationship, Pluto can help you elevate your intimate connection into the realm of sacred sex. This means that your souls, or light bodies, are merging. This creates an ecstasy that no purely physical pleasure can match. As the Lord of Power, Pluto can help you act with appropriate strength in your relationships. I recommend the benevolent exercise of power, which benefits everyone. Pluto represents wealth and Venus represents money, so there's obvious upside financial potential. But Pluto could also help you enjoy a wealth of pleasure in your relating or a wealth of creative inspiration. Pluto can also catalyze profound personal transformation. This could be psychological, shamanic, or spiritual. This could be a great time to dive into this with skilled relational support or cathartic, uncensored creativity. The cradle. As a reminder, this harmonious cradle includes Venus, Saturn, and the three outer planets. It starts on August 19, peaks on the 26th, and ends on September 2nd. First and foremost, Venus's potentials are supercharged by the other planets. Anything you want to do with your relationships, creativity, or finances has a powerful wind in its sails. Saturn can help you be focused, disciplined, and productive as you work with any of Venus's themes. Uranus can inspire you to try innovative approaches in these areas and guide you with intuitive hits. Neptune can flow divine energy and inspiration and help you approach these Venus themes in the zone. The third and final Venus aspect pattern is a hard rectangle. It includes Venus, Pluto, and the lunar nodes. This potentially challenging configuration starts on August 24th, peaks on the 27th, and ends on September 1st. Venus and Pluto are the key players here and have already given thorough interpretations of their possibilities. The lunar nodes ask that you approach all your Venusian actions in alignment with your life purpose. With the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces, try to do so in the spirit of service and with maximum love and compassion. On Tuesday, August 19th, deep emotional healing work could blossom into deeper spiritual awakening thanks to a finger of God, or Yod. The sun is at the tip, with Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto transmitting their potent energies from the rear. This adjustment-focused aspect pattern starts today on August 19th, peaks on the 24th, and ends on August 29th. The sun is in Virgo, the sign of healing, during most of this Yod's duration. Saturn can stir up unhealed trauma that's ripe for healing. Pluto supports life-transforming shadow work that can heal old emotional pain once and for all. Neptune can flow divine energy to support your process. The mystical planet can also reward you with a higher baseline of spiritual awakening once this healing is done. Finally, any service you're giving to others, whether or not it involves healing, can also be potently empowered by this aspect pattern. Also, on Tuesday, August 19, healing and wisdom giving are harmoniously supported by a Sun-Chiron trine. Sun 27 Leo, Chiron 27 Aries. This applies whether you're giving or receiving. With the Sun in Leo, stepping into the spotlight as a healer or wisdom giver enjoys smooth support. On Friday, August 22nd, the Sun enters Virgo at 4:34 p.m. EDT. I describe its potentials for the next month in my Virgo New Moon interpretation coming up soon. Also, on Friday, August 22nd, you can more powerfully relate with others as a healer or wisdom giver as Venus squares Chiron. Venus 27 Cancer, Chiron 27 Aries. With Venus in Cancer, emotional healing gets extra support. You could also get emotionally triggered by this hard aspect. If so, consider doing effective shadow work instead of squashing that challenging feeling or distracting yourself from it. On Saturday, August 23rd, today marks the first of 2 new moons in a row in Virgo. The second will be a solar eclipse on September 21st. Both tightly aspect the 3 gods of change, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, as well as Saturn. And both count among the year's strongest lunations. Today's new moon also aspects Jupiter and Chiron, giving it potent stimulation from all of the slower planets. Let's start with the possibilities of any Virgo new moon. More energy is available to empower your service to others. Do you enjoy your service, and does it make the best use of the special abilities you most love to use? Health is also energized, whether you're supporting yourself or others. Finally, no sign beats Virgo when it comes to editing, refinement, and attention to detail. By the way, here's my favorite Virgo riddle. What's the biggest room in the world? Wait for it. Room for improvement. Because it can see possibilities for further perfection, Virgo can be hard on others and themselves. Rather than endlessly hyper-perfecting, learn how to hit the brakes at good enough. Aspects. As I mentioned, this new moon aspects all 6 slower planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. This supercharges anything new and can also massively energize existing endeavors. If they involve Virgo themes, so much the better. Here's how you can make the best use of specific new moon aspects. Pluto is quincunx the luminaries, while Chiron is trine. Both planets could stir up emotional healing. If so, don't make the full and final healing of old trauma any harder than it has to be. It can be surprisingly quick and easy when you delegate the work to your higher self using that free healing invocation I mentioned earlier. Pluto can help you manifest power and wealth from your new moon actions. Chiron, co-ruler of Virgo, can empower your work as a healer or wisdom giver. Tightly conjoined Saturn and Neptune are quincunx, the sun and moon. Saturn can help you be more productive and mature and manage your time well. Neptune can support deeper spiritual awakening and help you operate in the zone. Together, Saturn and Neptune can help you sustain embodied awakening and manifest what you desire with the law of attraction. Uranus, square the luminaries, could destabilize situations that are not fully aligned with your highest good. But if he does, stay alert for his intuitive hits to help you upgrade your reality. Uranus may also urge you to fully express your unique human self and serve others using your special gifts and talents you most love to use. Ceres, making a 135-degree sesquare to the sun and moon, mirrors Pluto in supporting enhanced wealth and emotional healing. Finally, Jupiter is semi-square the sun and moon. Our biggest gas giant can amplify all the other planets' effects, and he can fill you with joy, helping your new moon projects feel like an exciting quest. This full moon Sabian symbol is, in a portrait, the best of a man's traits and character are idealized. What portrait of yourself are you painting in your mind? Using Virgo's precision and meticulous attention to detail, imagine the most magnificent possible version of yourself. The universe is a hologram and responds to focused mental energy. The more clearly you imagine your ideal self, the more easily you can become that superior you. For even better results, close your visualizations by saying, "this or something better." Your best is far more wonderful than you can imagine. The asteroid goddess Ceres makes 2 aspects on Saturday, August 23rd, a Uranus-Ceres semisquare, Uranus 1 Gemini, Ceres 16 Aries, and a Jupiter-Ceres square, Jupiter 16 Cancer, Ceres 16 Aries. All these planets are part of my new moon interpretation. Specifically, these aspects potently empower the grain goddess's potential for prosperity. They can also catalyze emotional healing, which can help you release old traumas and deepen your spiritual awakening. Jupiter can magnify these effects, while Uranus can guide you with intuitive hits and help you manifest Ceres potentials more quickly. Next, one of 2025's strongest aspects, Jupiter semisquare Uranus, is exact today, Saturday, August 23rd. Jupiter is at 16 Cancer and Uranus is at 1 degree Gemini. This aspect came into orb, which means close enough to connect, on August 1st and leaves orb on September 16th. This semisquare will be in orb again, February 9, 2026 through May 4th of 2026. The following 7 pairings explore themes you can focus on to make the best use of this potent energy. Breakthroughs versus mirages, shadow qualities, false breakthroughs and flash-in-the-pan delusions, positive potentials, dramatic breakthroughs and quantum leaps, surprising resolution of problems, unexpected openings and opportunities, a eureka moment, breakthroughs that benefit everyone. Awakening and aliveness versus shallow change, shadow qualities, shallow or incomplete rebirth, positive potentials, rebirth and awakening, heightened aliveness, everything around you coming vibrantly alive, access to new layers or realms of experience. Liberation versus chaos, shadow, intolerance of any structure or commitment, unrealistic urges for freedom above all else, ongoing wanderlust and impatience, unbridled eccentricity, irresponsible or ineffective rebellion. Positive, higher emancipation, freedom for all, maximum liberation, expanded horizons. Genius and inspiration versus hubris and the savior complex. Shadow, delusions of genius, hubris and overweening pride, Christ complex, cravings for glory, self-righteous genius, flippant arrogance. Positive, moments of genius or brilliance, divine inspiration, flashes of greatness, to become as God. Optimism and turning points versus overreach and foolish risk. Shadow, manic and impulsive excesses, attraction to get-rich-quick schemes, pie-in-the-sky over-optimism. Positive, unstoppable and infectious optimism, the light at the end of the tunnel, changes of fortune or philosophy. Collective uplift and progress versus elitism and fracture. Shadow, unwillingness to cooperate, philosophical conflicts, philosophical or intellectual elitism. Positive, collective epiphanies and awakenings, ascendancy of the liberal, humanitarian, and progressive impulses, surges of cultural flowering, urges to share your light. Transcendence and resolve versus impracticality. Shadow, being unreliable and impractical. Positive, transcendence of petty problems and attachments, and feelings of universal redemption. These themes are drawn with the author's generous permission from Ren Butler's magnificent book, The Archetypal Universe. Highly recommended. The universe is a hologram and is powerfully influenced by your thoughts. The more you focus on the high side potentials I mentioned, the greater the chance that they'll show up to make life more wonderful. Would you like to speed up your healing and awakening as part of an uplifting community of dedicated awakeners like you? Then check out Awakening Plus, my affordable online membership that can put your personal transformation into high gear. You can choose from about a dozen Zoom calls every month, as well as an ever-expanding archive of over 800 events that can profoundly change your life. This extraordinary membership also gives you 24/7 community connection and personal support. You'll also benefit from 6 courses and much more to help you awaken, heal, and thrive. To find out more, click the link in the show notes or visit awakeningplus.com. That's awakeningplus.com. On Sunday, August 24th, a hard rectangle with Venus, Pluto, and lunar nodes begins on the 24th, peaks on the 27th, and ends on September 1st. I interpreted this and 2 other Venus aspect patterns earlier in this episode. Also, on Sunday, August 24th, the Sun aspects all 3 outer planets. There's a Sun-Uranus square, a Sun-Neptune quincunx, and a Sun-Pluto quincunx. For the exact coordinates, please check my written forecast. And I interpreted all these aspects in my new moon forecast. Now we have a 3-day window here, Monday, August 25th through Wednesday, August 27th. Venus makes 5 aspects during these 3 days to the outer planets, Saturn and Mars. Again, for exact coordinates, check the written forecast, but I'll give you the days and aspects. On the 25th, we've got a Venus-Mars quintile. Also on the 25th, a Venus-Saturn trine. On the 26th, a Venus-Uranus sextile and a Venus-Neptune trine, and on the 27th, a Venus-Pluto opposition. I cover all but one of these aspects in my August 18 interpretation of the 3 Venus aspect patterns. One of them is a cradle with Venus, Saturn, and the outer planets. That started on the 19th, peaks on the 26th, right here in the midst of these Venus aspects, and ends on September 2nd. The only aspect here not included in those aspect patterns is the Venus-Mars quintile. This can give magical support to relationships and creative expression. Venus's placement in Cancer can help you open your heart wide to both. Now, on Thursday, August 28th, the most important astrology event of the 2020s is a mini Grand Trine with the 3 outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Its power started ramping up in 2022 and 2023, but it locked in during April 2024 and will profoundly influence personal and global events all the way through mid-2030. The mini Grand Trine's 2025 peak is today on August 28th. On this day, Uranus and Neptune are precisely sextile, and both planets aspect Pluto with an extremely tight orb or exactness of 23 minutes. That is less than half a degree. It's really tight. With this potentially harmonious interaction, these 3 gods of change can support each other's highest qualities. A mini Grand Trine is a triangle with 2 60-degree sextiles and a 120-degree trine. Here, Pluto is sextile Neptune, Neptune is sextile Uranus, and Uranus is trine Pluto. Pluto's high sides are wealth, power, and the death or release of the outworn old, so you can blossom into a superior new. Pluto also supports determination, persistence, and high vibration occult practices. Other Pluto attributes include courage, loyalty, honesty, ambition, discipline, self-reliance, independence, passion, curiosity, emotional intensity, caring protectiveness, and intuition. What about Neptune? His high side potentials include spiritual awakening, inspired creativity, and inspiring others, as well as living in flow state, compassion, and unconditional love. Neptune rules conscious unity with all things, conscious dreaming, dream interpretation, and empathy. Other Neptune attributes include generosity, intuition, sensitivity, compassion, forgiveness, romanticism, and natural healing ability. Uranus can help you be progressive, compassionate, justice-focused, freedom-loving, visionary, idealistic, humanitarian, philanthropic, socially engaged, reform-minded, ingenious, and brilliant. Additional Uranus qualities include open to intuitive hits, inquisitive, being a big picture thinker, problem-solving, open-minded, unique, serving others with the special talents you most love to use, independent, creative, technology-focused, and determined. In this mini Grand Trine, each of these planets' potentials is supercharged by the other two. There's almost no end to the positive possibilities. Saturn is a temporary member of the mini Grand Trine. He's conjunct Neptune right in the center of this aspect pattern. Saturn joined the Gods of Change mini Grand Trine on April 11th, and his four-planet version of this aspect pattern had its first peak on June 10th. This mini Grand Trine with Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto will peak again on February 22nd of 2026 and end on April 16, also of 2026. As I already mentioned, the version without Saturn will persevere until mid-2030. Saturn brings challenge, delays, and obstructions where they're needed for personal and collective growth. We're certainly seeing plenty of that. In his darker expressions, Saturn can be cold, calculating, and heartless. He can believe that the end justifies the means, however horrible they may be. But Saturn can also help you be mature, wise, and responsible. He can help you plan the work and work the plan and manage your time well. And he can be a paragon of productivity. His conjunction with Neptune adds additional possibilities. These include more effective law of attraction manifestation, that's linked in the show notes, and easier attainment of embodied awakening, also linked in the show notes, or you can go to astroshaman.com/invocations to learn how to get into embodied awakening quickly and easily. This Saturn-Neptune conjunction also empowers the conscious dissolution of whatever has outlived its usefulness. Even with the mini Grand Trine's harmonious aspects, the outer planet's low potentials are showing up. Reviewing my 2025 full-year astrology forecast video, I was amazed at how explicitly many of these dark potentials are manifesting, most obviously in Trump and those under his sway. It's important to note that these possibilities are drawn mostly from Ren Butler's astrology masterpiece, The Archetypal Universe, which is linked in the show notes, which was published back in 2018. Believe it or not, they were not written with any particular person in mind, but simply as expressions of archetypal possibilities. Once again, I'm grateful for Ren's permission to use his insights here. Here are a few of the darker archetypal energies currently manifesting. Neptune in Aries. Misguided leaders or influencers can spread confusion. They may believe they have to blame others, wage holy wars, or hurt others to wake them up. Uranus in Gemini. Impractical ideas can lead to erratic thinking and a lack of focus. This can cause unreliability and inconsistency. Making quick, premature judgments or dropping comments out of the blue, paired with too much talking and lack of tact, can lead to upsetting surprises. An excessive need for intellectual autonomy, mental pride, and stubbornness can lead you to glorify intelligence and have a high and mighty opinion of yourself as brilliant or gifted. By the way, I'm mentioning planets in signs, which I haven't explicitly referenced yet, but I will get to that after this section. Uranus trine Pluto and Pluto in Aquarius. Driving, manic energies can lead to willfulness and impatience, self-righteous radicalism, and fanatical idealism. An obsession with change at any cost can empower strange impulses. This can hijack more pressing issues and lead to harmful rebellion. Intense hubris and ego inflation create a feeling of being above conventional morality. This can lead to a maniacal, doomed brilliance. Efforts to force external revolution without healing your own wounded psyche can make the problem worse. Cataclysmic forces of anarchy and upheaval can lead to roller coaster rides of unpredictable change. Violent attempts at breakthroughs bring freedom paired with vengeance, resulting in turmoil, disruption, and chaotic energy. This can lead to collective hysteria. Uranus sextile Neptune. Being drawn into excessive escapism or fantasy, leading to delusion and denial. These tendencies can manifest as narcissism and avoidance. This can lead to gullibility, impressionability, and poor discernment. Fearful societies increasingly deploy racist and xenophobic rhetoric against people from other cultures and countries, especially those who want to immigrate. All right, now, do you feel overwhelmed and powerless by all this flood the zone catalyst? If so, you may be feeling these low archetypal potentials. Neptune in Aries. A demoralizing sense of futility and pointlessness, coupled with weakness and lack of confidence, can lead to paralysis. This can result in feeling unprepared for life's challenges. Unfocused or stalled willpower can lead to procrastination. Uranus in Gemini. Nervous restlessness and overstimulation can keep your mind racing. You feel overwhelmed by a flood of information and misinformation. Life feels overwhelmingly chaotic. Neptune sextile Pluto. States of confusion and loss of reference, coupled with profound illusions or delusions, can lead to weakened purpose or willpower. This can feel like dissolving or disintegration. You don't know whether to force something or just go with the flow. You feel inundated by intense surges of challenging emotions. Because you don't know how to heal them, you habitually push them back down. But these painful emotions will not stay stuffed and keep threatening to overwhelm you. Uranus sextile Neptune. A feeling of strange energies can lead to confusion and disorientation, resulting in states of hypersensitivity and instability. You can also feel tired and fatigued. All right, with that said, fortunately, there is a way out. You knew I would get there, didn't you? You can also harness the positive, life-affirming potentials of these archetypal combinations. Neptune in Aries. Embrace gentle and resilient strength as you cultivate a flexible approach to life. A soft ego and relaxed confidence can help you move effortlessly and smoothly. You can feel when being is better than doing. Trust your inner radar and sensitivity, following the path of least resistance to create change without arousing opposition. Foster synergy with others through compassionate action and enlightened non-action. Embrace the ideal of being in the world but not of it, acting without attachment to results. Serve the less fortunate humbly, energized by your passion and faith. Avoid the futility of war and conflict by transmuting aggression into peaceful actions. Consider imitating Gandhi's tactic of neutralizing aggression through active pacifism and passive resistance. Uranus in Gemini. Your higher self always knows what's authentic. Develop a clear channel of communication with it and ask it whenever you need to know if something is the real deal. Ongoing surprises and anomalies bring unexpected information and surprising synchronicities to guide you. This lets you take pleasure in surfing the shifting waves and currents of these unpredictable times. Uranus trine Pluto and Pluto in Aquarius. The titanic quest for human freedom and individuation, combined with the monumental assertion of human reason and willpower, drives impulses toward reform and renewal. This quest fuels progress and transformation through the forces of evolution and revolution, unleashing power and intensifying rebellious urges. Driving feelings of higher purpose and direction create a sense of human history being drawn toward a transcendent evolutionary goal. You feel inspired to play your part in this epic undertaking to serve the highest good of all. There is an epic struggle for advancement in democratic and civil rights, female empowerment, and gay rights. The liberation of primal energies and erotic emancipation are also significant. Technological revolutions and ecological awareness reshape society along with the empowerment of youth. Neptune sextile Pluto. Impulses to find a wider spiritual context for humanity's darkest behaviors drive efforts to understand the interplay between our higher and lower natures. The instinct to face and take responsibility for your shadow material leads to a more profound spirituality. The profound catharsis of repressed emotions opens or widens the pathway to divine consciousness. The divine is experienced as all-inspiring and powerful, and can be experienced by dissolving into spirit. Uranus sextile Neptune. Breakthroughs and revolutions in consciousness lead to quantum leaps in awareness, inspiring a new spirit and a change of realities. This journey fosters a universal rebirth of vision and transcendence. You awaken to a higher level, which replaces confusion and disorientation with spiritual clarity and a new baseline of embodied awakening. At this level, you're large enough to comfortably contain the same energies that were once challenging. Your new divine connection replaces tiredness and fatigue with boundless energy and vitality. Yeah. Throughout history, it's when the dark side seems unstoppable that the forces of love and light rise up and triumph. Trump and his retrograde ideas may be in ascendance now, but the pendulum always swings both ways. When those of lower consciousness use archetypal forces in destructive and self-serving ways, you can help weave a better reality by using the archetype's high vibration potentials. What if, at the soul level, you made a clear and conscious choice to be alive right now at this time of great challenge? What if your core mission is to hold the highest divine consciousness you can while acting in service to love and light according to your inner guidance? Your experience of reality is potently shaped by your beliefs about it. Always tell yourself the most life-affirming story that fits the facts. Now, all three outer planets have moved into new signs and will lock into them by late April of 2026. All of these new signs are air or fire, which are masculine and assertive. Pluto locked into Aquarius in late 2024 and stays there through early 2044. Pluto in Aquarius has a similar energy to the great Uranus-Pluto conjunction that gave the 1960s their radical character. Its revolutionary motto could be, "Big change now." Neptune entered Aries in late March 2025, then locks into the sign of the Ram in late January 2026. Neptune in Aries adds drive, passion, fire, and initiation to all the Neptune high side potentials I already mentioned, including my favorite, spiritual awakening. Uranus entered Gemini in early July of 2025, then locks into Gemini in late April of 2026. Uranus in Gemini electrifies brilliant breakthrough thinking. This is exactly what humanity needs to get through the huge challenges we're facing. Why are the outer planets called the gods of change? Because when they line up in certain ways, major transformation happens. One well-known example is the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. This world-changing aspect was felt throughout the 60s and early 70s. Its radical big change now energy revolutionized people and countries everywhere. The potent Uranus-Neptune conjunction was strong from the late 80s to the late 90s. It coincided with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. More equitable societal structures arose around the world. The internet took off, and huge numbers of people started exploring spiritual awakening and alternative spirituality. These were two-planet combinations, but what's happening now involves all three outer planets. With the game-changing energies of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto combined, the effects will be even more transformative. How unusual is this? There has not been an alignment of the three outer planets this powerful since the 1770s. 250 years ago, an outer planet's Grand Trine, or equilateral triangle, coincided with the U.S. Declaration of Independence. What about the future? We won't have another outer planets alignment this strong. It'll be another mini Grand Trine until the 2190s. That's 170 years from now. This really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. For more on this mini Grand Trine, watch my free 2025 astrology forecast video, which is linked in the show notes. The first 45 minutes focus on the mini Grand Trine. How will this affect you? By mid-2030, this Gods of Change aspect pattern will work its way through more than half of your natal chart. Any planet or sensitive point between 0 and 15.5 degrees of any sign, or after 28.5 degrees, is or will be lit up by these monumental astrological forces. These could be the most impactful astrology transits of your entire life. These winds of change are already here and getting stronger. Do you want to be blown around like a plastic bag? Or do you want to proactively partner with the planets to co-create your most wonderful life ever? I strongly recommend co-creation. To make the best of this extraordinary opportunity, you'll need to know when the outer planets are stimulating your sensitive natal planets and points. And you'll need your astrological symbols and archetypes explained in plain English. This will tell you which areas of life to focus on to reap the greatest benefit and when to do it. Consider having me do this for you. I've done over 12,000 astrology readings for a global clientele and have won 3 Best Astrologer Awards. I also have over 100 5-star Google reviews, which are linked in the show notes. To make your reading even more helpful, I'll also tell you about any other transiting planets significantly affecting you. And I'll give you any important insights from other astrological movement systems, like secondary progressions, solar arcs, and solar returns, all explained in plain English, of course. And let's not forget about the eclipses. The September 7 lunar eclipse is optimized for soul-aligned learning and communication, and the September 21st solar eclipse, supercharged by the 3 outer planets, is the strongest of the year. As part of your reading, I can also explain how you can use these powerful eclipse energies to improve your life. Finally, if it's the best use of any remaining time we have, I can also guide you in experiential processes that might include spiritual awakening, healing, and more. I'm even running a special on my Astrology Plus readings. For a limited time, you can save up to $150 per reading. I suggest you prepay your reading now. This will let you lock in these special low prices before they expire. Then you can schedule your reading at your earliest convenience. Click the link in the show notes or go to astroshaman.com/astrology special. Again, that's astroshaman.com/astrology special. One of 2025's most important aspects, Uranus sextile Neptune, that's Uranus at 1 Gemini and Neptune at 1 Aries, is exact today on Thursday, August 28th. This sextile will be exact again 4 more times. That'll be in November 2025, July 2026, January 2027, and June of 2027. These 2 planets are also heavily engaged with Pluto, with whom they form the world-shaking mini Grand Trine I just interpreted. But here we'll zoom in on Uranus and Neptune's potentials as a duo. You may recognize some Uranus-Neptune ideas discussed above. I've broken these down into 10 categories. Each has a negative-positive pairing, like we did earlier. Revolutions in consciousness, shadow. Excessive escapism and fantasy, delusion and denial. Gullibility and lack of discernment, positive. Breakthroughs and revolutions in consciousness, quantum leaps in awareness, a change of realities, a new spirit. Visionary renewal, shadow. Abstract idealism, philosophical imbalance, positive. A rebirth of vision, transcendence everywhere, blissful transcendence, blessed enlightenment, a sense of hallelujah, universal redemption. Liberation and pluralism, shadow. Narcissism and avoidance, unwillingness to engage grounded reality, positive. Liberation for all, celebrating variety and pluralism, inclusive solutions, velvet revolutions, dissolved boundaries, greater interconnection while reclaiming cultural uniqueness, mystical breakthroughs, greater interconnection while reclaiming cultural uniqueness, mystical breakthroughs, shadow, spiritual or religious extremism, mystical hubris, positive, mystical and reverential feelings, religious and spiritual breakthroughs, miracles and epiphanies, leaps of faith, religious reform and tolerance, mystical and prophetic impulses, the dissolving of individual separateness. Creative imagination, shadow, unfocused and unproductive creative impulses, positive, the rebirth of imagination, free imagination, rediscovery of the invisible, adventures in consciousness, the fusion of genres. Compassion in action, shadow, hypersensitivity and instability, Positive, awakenings of compassion, spontaneous compassion, freedom in service, recovered innocence, peace breaking out all over. Utopia through science, shadow, strange energies, confusion, and lack of reference. Positive, the utopian vision of modern science, human knowledge freely shared with everyone, electronic interdependence. Freedom through uncertainty, shadow, tiredness and fatigue from instability or constant flux. Positive, freedom in uncertainty, the winds of change. Archetypal insight, shadow, the shallow rebellion of the deluded ego. Positive, grokking the archetypal principles of underlying consciousness, order, and meaning, transcending ideology, a pantheistic experience of divinity, grace and inspiration, experiencing divine intelligence. Integration and joy, shadow, ungrounded detachment or ennui. Positive, ascension, integrated rebirth, wholeheartedly enjoying life even while knowing its illusory nature. All right, that's all of them. Now let's talk about recent major Uranus-Neptune transits. For a helpful historical perspective, let's take a brief look at the most recent major Neptune-Uranus sky transits. The previous Uranus-Neptune sextile was exact 5 times from fall 1966 through spring of 1968. It was in orb mid-1964 through mid-1970. This revolutionary era was marked by civil rights breakthroughs, including the Voting Rights Act. There was post-colonial nation building, Great Society programs, and immigration reform that reshaped demographics. Tech breakthroughs included the first spacewalks and the ramp-up of the Apollo space program. Moore's Law was articulated, and early computer networking concepts were seeded. The counterculture also exploded, featuring psychedelics, new kinds of art and music, and bold experiments with consciousness and community. The third outer planet was also very much in the game. A Uranus-Pluto conjunction was in orb, again meaning close enough to connect, 1960 through 1972, and a Neptune-Pluto sextile was in orb throughout this Uranus-Neptune sextile. I'll detail Pluto's influence later in this interpretation. The most recent major Uranus-Neptune aspect, a conjunction, was exact 3 times during 1993. It was in orb 1988 through 1998. This coincided with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War. Globalization was transformed by the European Union's single market and the North American Free Trade Agreement. Hopes were also buoyed by the Oslo Accords and the end of apartheid in South Africa. The web browser era exploded, and mobile and network computing took off. An open source information wants to be free ethos shaped a new social imagination, and huge numbers of people started exploring spiritual awakening and alternative spirituality. Once again, Uranus and Neptune were not acting alone. Pluto was sextile one or both planets throughout their conjunction. As noted in my mini Grand Trine interpretation, Pluto is also inextricably linked to Uranus and Neptune now. Here's how. There was a Uranus-Pluto trine on July 18 of 2025, and there will be 4 more Uranus-Pluto trines through mid-2028. Neptune and Pluto are also buddying up with a sextile. They're tightly in orb now, and there will be 13 Neptune-Pluto sextiles between mid-2026 and early 2032. For you hardcore astrology geeks, Neptune and Pluto will have made a grand total of 49 sextiles since the first one in this series in 1950. If you include orb, this sextile will have lasted for more than a century. It's called the 100-year sextile. These 3 planets are working as a team. Understanding their interactions can help you better understand these revolutionary times. Woo! That was a long one. Coming in my September 1 through 15 forecast, lunar eclipse in Pisces, Saturn retrogrades into Pisces, Uranus retrograde, Mars square Jupiter, and more. I mentioned at the top we had an August session winner. It is Nina, N-I-N-A, and this is the only Nina who's entered who actually has the name N-I-N-A in her email address. If that's you, let me know, and we will get you set up with a free reading. Just pop me an email at benjamin@astroshaman.com. And to you as well, thanks for being here. Once again, I'm Benjamin Bernstein with astroshaman.com. I can serve you with astrology readings, shamanic healing, one-of-a-kind life coaching, and deep dive trauma healing. And as I mentioned, I run the Awakening Plus online membership for spiritual support. You can learn about all this and more at astroshaman.com. Please reach out if you have any questions. My email is benjamin@astroshaman.com, and my number for voice and text is 828-338-9852. I would love to connect with you. We are wrapping up. If I've earned it, please leave me a 5-star rating, review, or comment wherever you're getting this episode to help others discover it. Thanks again for spending this time with me. I wish you infinite blessings as the stars light your way.